What's up, Eagles Nation? Welcome to week 8 of the NFL season and the 2021-22 NFL season. And yeah, the ugliness continues through this season. Obviously, last week, 33-22 loss at Las Vegas against the Raiders, and it was ugly. It was another one of those games where, it got away from them. They didn't make many adjustments as they should have. Kind of let the Raiders dictate after the Eagles jumped out to a 7-0 start, which, by the way, that was their best drive of the game, where they mixed the pass and run really well. I think they had like a 4-4 mark in that. They were listen. I mean, that's the offense that we've been wanting to see, and they came out and they ran the exact offense that we were all waiting for. We were all clamoring for, right? Saying this is what we want to see. We want to see balance, and if you have balance, it could lead to good plays. It could lead to even a quarterback who is limited passing the ball, as Jalen Hurts is. As far as the deep ball, right? Not going to get many of that from him, but you can help him out by doing things such as running the ball. It takes pressure off of the quarterback, right? It doesn't matter who the quarterback is. You could be Jalen Hurts, you could be Tom Brady. If you have a balanced offense and you're handing the ball off every now and then and keeping the defense honest, it opens things up with your offense. And we saw that in that first drive, right down the field, touchdown, a touchdown drive. And then a few drives later, it was back to we're just going to pass the ball a billion times in the game. And I understand Miles Sanders goes down with the injury, and that's a tough one. I mean, listen, he was having a nice game to that point. He goes down, but what happens? Right? You just go away from it completely. I know they fell behind too. The Raiders lost their starting running back. What did they do? They continued their game plan. They didn't, avert from it. They continued to hand the ball off and run in chunks against the Eagles defense, and whatever they got whatever they wanted, and a lot of that was due to the porous Eagles defense to this point in the season. But a lot of that was, look, believing in what they are, not deviating away from what they are, and saying, look, all right, we man down, next man up, right? The whole mantra that the Eagles had back in 2017, right? It was next man up. Okay, one's down. We're not going to deviate away from what we do successfully, and the run for them led to success in the passing game. Um, and look, Derek Carr had one of those career type games, and yet again, Gannon and the Eagles' defensive coach, the coaching staff and the players on the field just look lost yet again. When this team is not getting pressure with the defensive line on the opposing quarterback, which they really haven't done, consistently all year. And I know there's been some injuries and what have you, and it is what it is. But you're not consistently getting pressure. And if that's going to be the strength of the defense and you're not doing it, that's going to be real problems, because that does expose the bigger problems that this team has on defense with the lack of solid linebacker play, safety play. Cornerbacks, I think, are decent, but you're playing this stupid too high safety look every week. It doesn't matter who you're going up against. I mean, opposing offenses can read this and say, okay, you're going to take away the deep ball. Okay, well, we can do other things. Offenses aren't just going to do one thing. They're not going to go out there and throw the ball deep every play of the game, right? Even at Kansas City, even at Tampa Bay, teams that are more than capable of doing that, they're not going to do that at every single play. And what happened those weeks ago against Tampa is, yeah, maybe you took that away from them, but they did everything else well in that game, including running the ball. And you've seen that week to week. And it's like this coaching staff just will not adjust from that. They won't go away from it. And I heard the stat yesterday that the Detroit Lions, who the Eagles are playing today, have one of the fewest yards for completion percentage in the league. I think they're hitting to like 4 yards a clip. So they don't have any receiver on this team who is a burner. They don't have a deep threat. So I would hope, again, that the game plan on defense this week isn't that too high look, where you don't have to do that. If there was any week left in the season, any opponent left in the season where you don't have to do that, it's the Lions. And if they come out today and they're still doing that stupid at that point, you just throw your hands up in the air and say, all right, well, you know, this is beyond ridiculous anymore, right? Listen, there were more than enough mistakes made so far on the season, and honestly, one of the things I was concerned about going into the season wasn't only necessarily a young, inexperienced head coach in Nick Sirianni. It was what he was surrounding himself with and what they were allowing him to surround himself with. A bunch of just inexperienced coaches. Stands for the offensive line coach. They're all inexperienced. Young defensive coordinator. All these other coordinators are young and inexperienced. It's it could lead to problems, and that's what we're seeing. And there is no adjustments. There's no in-game adjustments. There doesn't seem to be week-to-week adjustments, and that's a problem. That's a big problem. That's why they sit where they are. Listen, the talent on the field withstanding, the coaches still have to do what they do, what they keep preaching, right? Put their players in best positions to have success, the best case positions to have success, but they're not doing it. And they don't seem to realize this. And now you got Sirianni throwing that flower stuff with the. It's comical at this point. It's beyond ridiculous anymore. And every time you think it can't get it just can't get any more insane, can it? Well, yes, it does. I don't know. But flower thing. Listen, you could say all these. You could use all the metaphors in the world. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. If this team had the reverse record of what they do now, and he's throwing out flower pots, teams comparing his team to, well, we gotta grow like flowers. No one's gonna look. We're gonna chuckle, but whatever. Look at the record. Okay, whatever he's saying, obviously it's connecting. Obviously it's getting through to these players. So you can use a metaphor of flowers. You can use a metaphor of whatever you want to use. It doesn't. But look, the team is showing it on the field, and that's all that matters is what you do on the field. You can say whatever you want a lot in the team meetings. You can use whatever metaphors you want, as long as you're showing it on the field. That's when it matters the most, right? That's where you need to be able to produce. This team isn't producing on the field. So it's a double-edged sword. It's like Nick Sirianni is like the Gabe Kapler of NFL coaches, but the team is looking like absolute the dog mentality. They look like dog mess on the field every week, right? It's like you want to just carry a plastic bag around and scoop them up. Maybe that's a better metaphor for what they've been so far this season. But it is fertilizer, right? You need that to grow the flower. Maybe that's part of it. You need the fertilizer to grow the okay, well, all right, you kind of connect the dots that way. It's just a mess. But to me, the biggest problem isn't just Nick Sirianni. It isn't just what Jalen Hurts is or isn't doing on the field. It's the whole picture. It's this whole big picture of the coaching staff, the players, and then you have the management, right? You have Howie Roseman and Jeffrey Lurie, right? These all are going hand in hand. These are all connected, interconnected at the hip. And that's a problem. Listen, we can talk about, listen, you got about a half a season left. And now you got people, with Tankapalooza now. Let's just lose out. Let's lose as many games as we can. First of all, I don't know if this team can lose out the rest of the season. I'm in the mindset that this is how I see the rest of this thing going, okay? People are talking about getting rid of Nick Sirianni after the season or even during the season. Like if they lose today to Detroit and give the Lions their first win of the season, they just can him after the game. I don't think that's going to happen. In my mind, how I see this thing playing out, anything barring, I mean, honestly, this team losing out and looking pathetic the rest of the season. I mean, horrible. Like, worse than the Jets. The rest of the season, right? Worse than the Lions, worse than the Jaguars, whatever. You name me another bad team in the league. This team loses every game. Maybe they win one game or something the rest of the year, and they just look horrible. Anything barring that, I don't think you're going to get rid of the coach. I can see other moves being made. I could see them getting rid of the defensive coordinator. I can see that happening, and maybe that would be a plus, right? You get a more veteran, you know, coach as a defensive coordinator in here after this season. Maybe that's a positive, right? Or maybe you get some other, maybe you make some other moves. You juggle around the coaching staff. You get some more veteran, voices on that staff, and maybe that could help. Maybe that's something that you need to do after this season. But as far as Nick losing his job, I can't see that happening after one season. It's rare. It's not that it doesn't happen. There's been examples out there, right? Ray Rhodes with the Packers many years ago, the former coach of the Cardinals who was there for like 1 year, right? Before who they have in place right now is there. There has been examples, and there are reasons for that, right? Chip Kelly with the 49ers, our old good buddy Chip. Yeah, but there are examples, but I can't see that happening, barring this team losing out and just looking pathetic the rest of the way they did against Vegas, the way they did weeks ago against Dallas, and so on and so forth, right? It would take something like that, in my mind, for that to happen. In my mind, that's not going to happen because I look at the rest of the schedule and sans for the Chargers game next week, which is a home game, but it's a good team they're going to be playing, right, in the Chargers. And that very end of the season, the very last game of the season against Dallas, who, listen, Dallas, I mean, look, you might as well just give them the shirts and hats right now for division title, right? They've, it's basically theirs by default right now, right? But they're not going to have any division on the line at that game, but Dallas may have seeding on the line perhaps, maybe even a chance at that bye week. So maybe that game still means something for them, at least if anything else for like a half of the game or whatever, who knows. But those are the two teams when you look at the rest of the schedule that you could say, oh yeah, this might not go well. Those two games, right? The rest of the way, I mean, you got this week against Detroit. You got 2 games against the Giants. You got 2 games against the football team. You got the Jets. You got the Broncos. I know it's in Denver, but still, they're not a great Shakes team. You have games that are going to be winnable. Now, can this team win those games? I don't know. We'll see. Right? But there's enough games left on the schedule where there are going to be games that they probably will win. They'll at least get 3 or 4 of those games. I would imagine, unless they completely are checked out and it's total tankapalooza at that point, and you're throwing, I don't know, Minshew in there or whoever at quarterback, and it's like, okay, let's just lose, the hell with it, get the picks. Not that the team's ever going to say they're doing that, but, last season, the last week, how it went down. I mean, listen, I can see that kind of happening at the end of the year, and maybe, just maybe, they lose some of those games that should have been wins. Maybe the Jets game, maybe maybe they get swept by the Giants or the football team. They're always good to beat the Giants at least once. Giant fans know. At least once a year the Eagles are able to beat that team, right? As bad as the Eagles have looked the last couple of years. But we'll see. In my mind, Sirianni's still going to be here after next season. I don't know about the quarterback. I don't know. And my personal opinion, I don't know if it matters. And that's the scary thing. The Eagles are going to have the Dolphins' first-round pick. That could be a top 3 pick. The Eagles are going to have their own first-round pick. That could be a top, let's say, 5 pick, 6 pick, right? So you have a potential to have 2 of the top 5 picks in this offseason, in this next draft, which is an exciting thing. But then again, you remember who's making the picks. Can we really get that excited? You got Howie. And for all we know, he could draft a kicker in one of those 2. I mean, listen, we would love for him. We would love for this team to finally understand that, yeah, you need linebackers. And, those guys in Georgia, they're pretty good. You have a chance to get 2 of those guys coming out of the draft this year. You have a chance to really put some real foundation blocks, cornerstone blocks on this defense at linebacker. You could do that this offseason in the draft and draft 2 of those guys, 2 of those linebackers out of Georgia in the top 5 picks, right? or get one of those guys and get another, maybe a safety, maybe I don't know who the top guys out there. I know there's this corner in LSU everyone's pretty high on. Maybe you get him. If you luck into getting the pass rusher out of, or even I'm not huge on the Pac-12 defensive players. I I would always rather go SEC in that mindset. But look, I mean, if you're able to get the top pass rusher coming out of the draft, maybe you do that. Maybe you parlay that with one of those linebackers out of Georgia, right? Okay, I'd be okay with that. I think you got to go defense in this year's draft, and it's too early to talk about the draft. I know. I'd love for them to do that, but I don't know. It's Howie making the picks. It's Nick Sirianni and Howie making the picks. I have no idea. Maybe they get enamored with that running back out of Michigan State, even though they don't run the ball. They say, "Oh, we'll get him. We'll get him, and then we won't use him." Right? I don't know. That's what scares me. I would be happy with the fact that, listen, another losing season, but it means you get high picks and you have players that you can build, you can really put the bones on this team with. But then you got Howie making the call, or Jeffrey Lurie and Howie making the call. And I'm like, uh-oh, that might not be good. Now, listen, they went to Alabama last offseason. They stayed away from the Pac-12. Maybe they learned some lessons from years past. They actually got some, Alabama guys on this team. Now, the jury's still out. We still have to see, right? Dickerson and Devontae Smith. We have to see, right? Obviously, I don't know what to really compare Devontae Smith with, because the quarterback really hasn't done a great job getting him the ball. Now, Devontae's made some mistakes. He's a rookie, and I don't care. You can win the Heisman. You can do whatever you want in college. It's a different game in the NFL. It just is. So getting as open as he was able to get in college isn't going to happen in NFL, right? This is where the learning curve has to come with him. Now, I believe in him. I really do. I think he's going to be a really good receiver. You just need a little better quarterback throwing him the ball. And I'm trying not to knock Jalen Hurts, because, again, the guy is a rootable guy. He says the right. He's like, if he just had Carson Wentz's arm. Right? If he just had a stronger arm. And again, this isn't bash Jalen Hurts time, right? I have been watching these games as any Eagle fan. I've been disappointed at times, right? Because he does miss wide open receivers. And he doesn't have the strong arm to get the ball down the field. But again, this is where it falls on the coaching staff. Listen, I'm going to blame them more so than I'm going to blame Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts can't help. Look, he has some deficiencies. Can he get better in certain respects? Yes, he can. Can you get better at surveying a field, at reading a defense as a starting quarterback in the league? You can. The arm, it is what it is. You can't get that stronger arm. It just doesn't happen, right? But as a coaching staff, you can still put your player in a better position to have success, right? Where's the play calling? Where is the creativity in this play calling? Listen, I didn't watch the whole game on Thursday night, but I watched bits and pieces of that Cardinals-Packers game. And, of course, our old friend Zach Ertz is with the Cardinals now, right? Now, I'm seeing some of these plays being put in for Zach Ertz, and one of the quarterback's best friends is a tight end in the passing game, right? Tight end. And I'm seeing some of these play calls, and they're not going deep downfield to Zach. There's these intermediate passes that are going to him for first downs or a good chunk of yards, right? These are the type of play calls. Where was this in Philly? And these are easy play calls. This is not rocket science. We didn't see this here because the coaching staff, for whatever reason, doesn't seem to value the tight end position. They don't value the running game and the tight ends. I'm just at a loss because I'm going, listen, I understand that Jalen Hurts has his deficiencies throwing the ball. But you could still design plays where you don't have to go deep downfield. Just little intermediate passes, check downs, something simple, right? Keep it simple, stupid, right? Then maybe that opens things up in the offense, right? Yeah, You want to run the ball, but if you're going to pass the ball and you have a quarterback that isn't going to be a bomber, right? Not going to throw the ball deep downfield all the time, right? Well, what about some of these other routes? And that's where the tight ends come in. We don't see the tight ends. They're the missing man every week. We don't know who our tight ends are because we don't see them other than they're blocking. Okay? But these are just simple plays that I see other teams like the Cardinals, the Packers, all these other teams, right? The Chiefs do it. You know, they don't just bomb the ball every play. They're utilizing the speed that they have at the wide receiver position. They're putting them in positions where they can get those yards after catch, right? It's not Mahomes throwing the ball deep downfield to Hill all the time. Maybe it's Hill on the crossing pattern, right? Or some of those other receivers. They're making the best of what they have, using that speed as a strength, right? So the Eagles have a really quick receiver in Watkins. Why aren't they doing more with him? It's like he's disappeared. Why aren't you using him? Why aren't you putting him in those type of situations, right? Taking a page out of the Andy Reid book. Making the most of the speed that you do have at that position, right? Where are the end arounds? Where are some of these, aggressive play calling? You're just not seeing it. This team is just so easy to defend week to week. Hey, they don't run the ball enough, so you don't have to worry about that. Defenses, whatever, the RPO, they're not even running. What do we have to worry about the R and RPO? It's just going to be pass. Right? You're not fooling anybody. And you're not keeping a defense honest because you're not running the ball. You're not using your tight ends. So it's easier to defend. Oh, you got these young, inexperienced, for the most part, wide receivers to cover. It makes it a little easier for a defense, right? And you get pass rush on Hurts. Maybe you have a spy on him so he starts to run like Tampa was doing. He starts to run. Now you have a guy right there, right, to be able to bring him down. And listen, Jalen, again, he's not without fault, right? He needs to read the field a little better. He needs to just go not with his first progression and then run. No, you got to survey the field. You got to go through progressions. I know the offensive line sometimes doesn't give him a lot of time, but listen, that's going to happen. That happens for every quarterback, right? You're going to have injuries on the offensive line, but you still need to be able to survey the field and make those plays, right? Make those reads and make those plays. So he's not without fault, but this coaching staff, it's just not good. It's just not good. I mean, the creativity on this offense week to week, it's stale. It's like a high school offense out there. I've said that before. I said that during the Dallas game. It's like a high school team. That's what they look like. Although high school teams run the ball a little more than this one does. I know. It's been rough. It's been a tough season to go through. It's been just week after week of frustration. And now we all, the salvation at the end of the season is the draft picks. I get that. But again, as long as you have the powers that be in this coaching staff to coach these players, I don't know. I mean, you can make a big home run move this offseason and make a big trade for Russell Wilson, right? Let's say hypothetical, right? You get Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson in this offense with this coach. Do you believe enough in the flower man in this coaching staff, even if they had Russell Wilson? I don't know. Listen, they still have to prove themselves. There's a lot to go through in this season. I'm not expecting the wins and losses game right now. I am expecting this team to have a top 5, pick in the draft, but I want to see improvement. I want to see improvement not just on the field. I want to see improvement with this coaching staff. That's what I want to see. Because believe me, if it continues to go on this path, and like I said, anything barring just losing out and looking pathetic in every game, Sirianni's still going to be here. Maybe they make a few moves here and there in the coaching staff, and maybe that helps. Maybe that's what they need. I don't know. We'll see. But as long as he's going to be the guy going into next season, and how he's going to retain his job, because he will. I mean, he's just here for life, it seems, right? As the GM, we're still going to have the same problems, and it's not going to matter what players they bring in the offseason. It's still going to be the same. If you still have this philosophy, it's still going to be the same, and that's the scary thing. Listen, I'm an optimistic type of guy, even being a Philadelphia sports fan. It's very hard to be. It really, these teams test you like no. People always complain about how angry the Philly fans are all the time. And you go through seasons after seasons after seasons after seasons with these teams, you'd be a little miffed yourself, okay? It's not easy This isn't the easy table we're sitting in like some other cities do, right? Where they at least have a team, at least one team that has some competence in them, and they have success, right? We have to go through losing seasons a lot around here. That's why on the very rare occasion that one of our teams does win, we go crazy for it because we know what it means to have to sit through crap to get to that, right? I mean, it is what it is. I'm an optimistic type of guy. I'm hoping that, listen, as bad as this season might be, you get those high picks. Maybe if you hit on those picks and they're going to have a lot of money under the cap. They can bring in some free agents. But I do worry. I do worry about the coaching staff. I do worry with Howie's still here. And I don't think that changes this season, again, barring an absolute catastrophe rest of the season. And it's a shame because there's some Eagle fans that are hoping for that are hoping, oh, let's just lose horribly every week so Nick Sirianni can be gone and Howie Roseman can finally be gone. We'll see. We'll see. Careful what you wish for. Careful what you wish for. Listen, I want this to get better. I really do. I'm tired of these losing seasons. Okay, even though it's been, right, last year was horrible, this year so far is horrible, right? Listen, when you've gotten to the pinnacle and you know what that is, and you know all the work that it takes to get there, and you want to get there again. If anything else, you want to have a semblance of a team. You want to have some success in a season, right? Even if you don't win a Super Bowl, which, as we know, believe me, this fan base knows how difficult it is to win that trophy. But to get there, you do have to build. And it takes time, right? We have to go through rough patches. It's tough. And the problem is you have a lot of youth at the coaching position that are learning on the job. And this isn't the league where you can really do that. Maybe you get away with this in college. You can't so as well get away with it so much in the NFL. It's just, listen, it's a different kind of fan base. It's a different it's just, this is the pros. And you can't do this Harry High School stuff and Chris College stuff here, right? You have to be able to get better, to progress, to make adjustments. And we're just not seeing that every week. And that's been the most difficult thing to have to go through, right? It's because we as fans are just screaming at the TV, run the ball, run the ball. Come on, Nick. You know you can do it. You just have to, no, use the tight ends. At least, no. Oh, here comes Hurts running again. Okay. Again, man, it's tough because we know how this could be. Look, not saying that this is going to be a winning record, but we know how they can do things to look better, to at least have an semblance of an offense on the field, to make Jalen Hurts be a better quarterback, right? And the jury's still going to be out on him. Who knows? I mean, right now, look, I'm not ringing the bell for Minshew at this point, right? I still want to see Jalen out there because he still has to learn. He still has to go through this, right? In order to know exactly what we have, and there's some Eagle fans that have already resigned to saying they know who Jalen Hurts is, enough's enough. Put the mustache man out there, right? I'm not one of those fans. I still want to see Jalen on the field because I still want to see exactly, look, I want to go through a season with him. I want to see what this guy can do, what he's all about, what after the losses, what does he look like the next week, right? How does he progress? Because this is what we need to know, right? And maybe they already do. Maybe they're already planning who they want to get in the draft, or if they want to make a real big move, a big, all chips in move type of move for a Russell Wilson or something like that this offseason. I don't know. I'm not in the front office. I'm just a fan watching the game, just as the rest of you are, right? And watching this video. It's tough. It's tough. There's a lot of question marks that still haven't been answered. And that's been the most difficult thing about this season is going through week to week, is seeing the mistakes that they're making on offense and defense and not correcting those mistakes. And Nick can talk about Flowers all he wants. Nick, you got to make adjustments. You got to make adjustments. If a flower's wilting, are you going to still do the same thing to it? No, you have to adjust to make that flower bloom again. I hate using the flower things. It's football. Come on, man. ESPN does their come on, man. Come on, man. He's a grown man. Talking about flowers. All due respect to the botanists out there, but still, it's tough. It's tough, and we can only hope it gets better, and that's the only hope we can have. Because what else can you do, right? You got to just say, okay, let's just lose out. We'll get another coach. Listen, I hate to go in this coaching carousel here. There's been teams that have done it. I know the Eagles aren't that far removed from winning a Super Bowl, but you look at some of the other teams and franchises that have been just inept for year after year after year because they keep going through all these coaches and it doesn't do them any good. It doesn't do them any good. They still fail. They still have, the non-success. They go through coaches and quarterbacks like candy on Halloween. By the way, happy Halloween out there. It is Halloween today, my favorite holiday. Of course, I got Michael on here and looking forward to Halloween as I always do. But you can't just do that. You can't just go through coaching carousel, quarterback carousel, and hope that it's going to, eventually you're going to find that dart and it's going to land. It's tough to do that. Look at all those teams that do it. And look at the non-success that those teams have had. You don't want to be that way. And I don't know if Nick Sirianni going forward is really going to be the guy or not. But I do think that there are changes need to be made. And if it's going to be him getting better as a head coach, maybe you get some more veteran coaches in his ear after this season. That might help. I mean, we'll see. Again, I don't think that they're just going to go to another coach this offseason, barring a disaster, complete disaster. And we're starting to lean that way. But it's going to take something more so than that, to make that change. That's a big decision. Listen, you just go out and you let go of a Super Bowl winning coach. And I know it got stale here after the last few years with Doug here. But you got rid of a Super Bowl winning head coach, your only Super Bowl winning coach in franchise history, to bring in Nick Sirianni. And even though there were question marks about that, listen, that's a big move. And to just go away from that after one season, I think it's a decision that a lot of front offices don't want to make, right? Maybe they make it. I don't know if they will. Because, again, like I said, I think they're going to be willing to give him more time. Maybe you get a couple other veteran coordinators after this season and you see if that changes anything. And if it doesn't, maybe then they make the move. Even if it's during the season next season, maybe that's something they do then. And maybe they're like, okay, we're willing to admit this mistake at this point. But we'll see. Listen, it can get worse. I mean, they can get blown out today by the 0-7 Lions. It could get worse. They can get blown out by the Jets later in the season. I mean, teams that, other teams that they play this season that have looked inept all year, they could play the Eagles and they could look like a Super Bowl winner, I mean, it could get worse, and I'm not blind to that. But it would take something like that for, I think, this front office to pull the plug on Sirianni. But we'll see. Again, I'm not the one making the calls. I'm just making these YouTube videos every week, right? Anyhow, Festive is not here right now. Festive is getting the costume ready. Festive wants to be gritty. So, but I do have the weekly Festive 4. Last week, Festive went 500, 2-2. But on the season, Festive is 16-8 with the picks. And Festive wanted to make sure to wish all of you a happy Halloween as well. Festive's hoping for tricks, not treats today from the Eagles, but we'll see. Festive's a little miffed about the Flyers game last night, but we'll leave that for Mark's Season of the Fan series. A 4-0 loss at Calgary. They ended that Western Canada trip pretty ugly, but they did win 2 of 3 on that trip, and they're still looking good, right? So that's good. But anyhow, this week's Festive 4, right? The spooky Festive 4. Ooh. Festive first likes Buffalo over Miami. Festive feels that Miami still has to lose games so the Eagles get a better pick from them. So we're hoping that Miami loses as many games as they can the rest of the season. So Festive's picking Buffalo over Miami. Festive also likes, even though there's a rivalry with Slim, Festive likes Slim's family's Tennessee Titans in a good one today against the Fighting Carson Wentz's and the Indianapolis Colts. And that should be a good game. That really should. I believe that game's in Indy. It should be a good game. Colts have been playing better of late in the last few weeks, right? But Festive likes King Henry and the Tennessee Titans to beat Carson and the Indianapolis Colts. Festive also likes Atlanta over Carolina. Carolina is another one of those teams, right? I mean, they lost to the Eagles. Just put that in perspective. Okay? It was the Eagles' last win, and the Panthers have looked absolutely atrocious on offense ever since their main guy McCaffrey's been out. So Festive likes Atlanta over Carolina. Atlanta's been playing better. By the way, these two teams are the only two teams so far that lost to the Eagles this season. So it's a battle of the two teams that lost to the Eagles this year. But it is an NFC South division rivalry, and Festive is taking Atlanta over. Festive's going with like the Braves, winning vibes, right? So sometimes when one team's doing really well, it kind of ups the play of the other teams, right? So as much as around here we're not big fans of the Braves winning their division rival to the Phillies, but maybe them winning will kick the Phillies in the rear a little bit and get them going. It's only been 10 years since we've been in the playoffs, Phillies, just saying. But anyhow, Atlanta gets the win against Carolina, and Festive to round it out likes Kansas City over the Giants. Yeah, a little low-hanging fruit at the end there. But that's the Festive for this week. Again, in recap, Festive likes Buffalo over Miami, Tennessee, shout out to Slim's family, against Indianapolis, Atlanta over Carolina, and Kansas City over the New York Giants. Not very Giants, they're their fans have gone through some years, huh? But anyhow, that's it for now. That's it for today. Eagles Nation, I know. Listen, I feel the pain. It's been another season of dreck so far. It's been doom and gloom. It's been bad. There's been flowers. There's been dogs. It's like a bad horror movie at this point. It's like one of those horror movies that you would pick up from the dollar store. Like one of those, you just have to sit and watch and just go, why am I doing this? Why? I could be doing so many other things, but here I am with this horrible movie or this horrible game. What am I doing? But you do it because you're a fan. And listen, I watch every game. I'm not going to stop now. Winning seasons, losing seasons, that's the way it is. But I try to break it down as I do every week. Let's hope for a win against Detroit. I mean, everyone else has beaten Detroit so far this season, so maybe we can continue. If not, congrats to the Lions fans for getting their first win of the season. We're glad to oblige. And anything else that kind of helps us with the pick, maybe we get ahead of the Lions somehow with the pick. We'll see. Who knows? Anyhow, we'll hope for the best, but we'll see. Hopefully it's a treat, not trick today, but you just never know. But have a happy Halloween out there, everyone. Thank you, as always, for watching. Have fun tonight, and enjoy. And hope the young ones get lots of their favorite candies tonight, right? I got my bag of candy ready to go to hand out. We got the plate. We're ready to. I usually don't get a lot of trick-or-treaters here, but, never know. Maybe you see the Eagles thing, it just scares them away. I don't want to go there. The one thing more scarier than a haunted house is the Eagles logo right now. Sirianni, oh! I wonder if Nick's going to dress up as a flower later afterwards. He should. Should come into the locker room today dressed as a flower. That would be interesting. Anyhow, that's going to do it. But what do I always say, right? What do you got to do here in YouTube land? You know what you got to do. You got to leave those thumbs up. Thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up. Even the bot that's out there, you can leave a thumbs up. It'll be all right. Thumbs up. You got to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so. And once you do, and even if you already subscribed and haven't already done so, hit the bell icon so you get notified to all future content from yours truly. And until the next one, this is Mighty Fan signing off for now. Let's go Birds! Please, God. At least beat the Lions, okay? I will see you all in the next one. All right, bye. Happy Halloween.